I bet you do. I bet he does. I bet he does.
All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of I Can Do This All Day. I am Dan, the part-time Avenger, and with me is Mark, the resident Jedi.
Hello there. Today we took a step back from the new and went back even further to the bad and old and bad, and we put them together and we came up with the Kevin Smith dud, perhaps the worst movie in his entire catalog. Copout.
Copout. So why are we reviewing this movie again?
Because it's the best thing that Bruce Willis will ever forget.
So I think, now this is coming back to me. So we talked about the unfortunate news about Bruce Willis's dementia diagnosis. And so we figured, why not come up with or review a movie that he would most likely forget, even if he was 100% healthy. And here we are. That's what we've done. And have you ever seen this movie before?
No, I haven't. And now I know why.
All right, showing the hand early.
Oh, I don't think there's any. I think there's enough evidence on the internet to support nobody listening to the rest of this and understanding what I'm saying.
So the reputation of this movie precedes it. And for those that aren't necessarily aware of it, or maybe they aren't even Kevin Smith fans or Bruce Willis fans, I believe Bruce Willis and Kevin Smith had quite a bit of a feud during this movie and also after. Do you have like a lot of insight into that? Do you know
apparently there was issues about Kevin Smith's direction style. Like Bruce didn't like it. And Bruce had a moral issue with Kevin smoking weed. So it was just, Bruce was not exactly so Kevin tells this story a bunch, and I'm sure there's a million podcasts you could Google, get little snippets, find Kevin telling the story. I'm not going to steal the man's story other than to say he found Bruce to be combative and a problem in the workplace.
According to what I read, Tracy Morgan was like the sole reason as to why he was okay filming this movie, Kevin Smith. And so that was kind of surprising, because I would think that Tracy Morgan might be even more combative, or at least clashing in style with Kevin Smith.
I see Tracy Morgan as just like a pick up and go kind of person, we're gonna figure it out as we go, which has been Kevin's whole career. Like, I know Kevin writes words and he wants those words to be used, and he's a wordsmith. He didn't write this movie, so he was putting together somebody else's words. And if you look at who those directors are or those writers are, they've written nothing good. This was their biggest movie, as in it broke even, like trash.
And it was profitable.
It was, right. Profitable at the gross. In Hollywood, we call that a flop. Not that I'm in Hollywood, or am I? But I think that this script was so formulaic. It could have been a comedy. It could have been a serious movie. It could have been so many things, and it had to be this. And while there was a great cinematographer on it and Kevin edited it, I feel like he was working with garbage and he knew it. And Bruce Willis maybe just didn't help. And Tracy Morgan was just like, I get to be in a movie. And I love Tracy Morgan, don't get me wrong. But sometimes he's a little much for me. And I feel like in watching this movie, Kevin let him kind of go a little bit. Like, free one, Tracy, go do it. Haha, that's funny. Because he was high. Not to say Kevin wouldn't find it funny sober. But I mean, you add to it. Do it again. And I think that annoyed Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis, while in some scenes seemed to like Tracy Morgan, in the scenes where Tracy Morgan was the funniest, looked annoyed.
Really? So I thought going into this movie, I thought Bruce Willis hated every single second of this, and I thought it would be very evident on camera. I thought the exact opposite. The all the clips that I thought, oh man, he Bruno must be getting pissed off right here. He would crack a smile, and maybe it was, a facetious smile or anything, but I didn't notice a difference. I thought, you know what, he might be cracking right here, and Tracy Morgan is actually making him laugh.
The only one that I think he laughed at was Yippee Ki motherfucker, because he had to retort. And I don't think that was scripted.
He never saw that movie.
Yeah, but I thought that was hilarious. That was one of the top, like, that was one of the three good parts of the movie, which is the full film cop montage at the beginning. Like, and then, we'll talk about the other good parts, which there are not many.
So we're talking a little bit about this feud with Bruce Willis and Kevin Smith. I want to ask you about your real life experience with. Have you ever had a feud with a coworker?
I mean, not everybody gets along, Dan. Have you ever had a feud with a coworker?
Absolutely, absolutely. But we want to know, so let's hear it.
I mean, so many, because I'm such a likable guy. I can think of so many times, but I've got a good one for you. Have you ever had a feud with a coworker significant other?
With a coworker significant other. I never dated, in quotes, a coworker.
No,
so
I didn't either. And this coworker was a man.
So you had a relationship with a man, and he was a coworker, but I'm so confused right now. What?
So somebody I used to work with, had a significant other that was very opinionated, and he and I were not like the best of friends. We were just acquaintances. Like, we'd see each other every now. We'd hang out sometimes outside of work, but she did not enjoy the bubbly personality that is Mark.
All right, so wait, rewind right there, because the way that you made it sound is that you never had a relationship with a coworker, but it was a dude. The way that I heard it in my head, it was a dude. You had a relationship with a dude that you worked with because it wasn't a female, and so that. All right, so it wasn't that.
I don't think that I explained that poorly.
I think you did. You might want to. I don't know, man. Your track record doesn't. I mean, it speaks for itself. So we might have to rewind this, or listeners.
I don't know about that. I think that in the comments we could figure out if everybody but Dan was completely like confused, or if that made sense. That I had that a coworker's significant other and I did not get along, and it was very evident.
Got it. I get it now. I don't know about the lead up to it though, but go on. I'm sorry.
No, it manifested in him getting passive aggressive text messages while he was at work, and like having to tell me we can't hang out. And I was like, we didn't really that much anyway. I go to the same bar as you after work, so maybe you should go sit over there. I don't know. And we'd like the rest of the store would kind of go out and hang out together, and he had to kind of excuse himself. It was really funny. It was like in a big bad way.
That's so weird.
That's so early 20s drama is what that is. That's so early 20s drama. I'd love to say that all resolved itself, but I haven't talked to that person in 2 decades.
As you shouldn't, it just sounds, and you know what? I'm sure he was a nice guy. It just was the perfect storm, right?
Yeah, no, really, really, like, not a bad person, really good person. Just, I don't know, but I have that prickly effect sometimes, and I'm aware of it. You accents
on the prick. on the prickly, but
That's your opinion. You keep coming back every week, but that's your opinion.
hey, man, as we have gotten a chance to know each other over the years, I think that's what makes our friendship thrive is our ability to accept each other's prickness.
You can accept all the prick you want.
Hey, man, you're the, I don't know, whatever. So, so I've had a little bit of experience with feud with a coworker, and this was once again in my early 20s, and I worked at this store. I won't say what store it was. For anyone who's ever worked with me before, you could probably put two and two together. But he was the same level position as myself.
You were both very
Eh,
patriotic, I take it.
Patriotic.
There we go.
And you know what? Everything was a bargain. So a patriotic bargain, if you will.
Yeah. I bet you sold a lot of things patriotically.
I did. And
Lee Green
so we were
proud.
We were the same level, and just something about I like and get along with everyone for the most part, unless you rub me wrong or you're a dick for no reason. And guess what? Dick alarm went off, and he was a dick. And so part of it was he found out that I made more money than him, and I never really wanted to hurt the person's feelings, but after a while it just becomes like, fuck you, dude. You know, I do a lot around here and I see you doing jack shit, so go fuck yourself. But anyways,
but instead of taking it out of the business owner who computates and decides your salary, took it out on you, it sounds like.
Not on me. Well, you're talking about him, right?
Yes.
He was just being a dick to be dick's sake. You know, like I didn't really get it. And there was very few times that I was directly a dick to him, but you're talking about the master of passive aggressive right here. And I will certainly do that. And I loved every minute of it. Like I would pawn off so much stuff on him because he would do the same fucking thing to me. But in my head, it felt so much better because, you found out that I make more money than you. I'm okay with that. And you've been there for years, and I've been there for just a couple. So, I just kind of felt good about that. And one of
you felt good being petty, is what you're saying.
No, I felt good that he was being a prick for no reason and a horrible, shitty work ethic, which, by the way, that work ethic finally caught up to him. So I'm told. And he is no longer at that particular establishment to his own fault. But not that I wish any ill will. It's just,
of course,
I mean, hey, if the shoe fits, it's probably the right thing to do. But there was one time that I made it, I accidentally really confirmed his suspicion because it was always just hearsay that I made more money than him. One of the days I was talking about my, I think it was my 401k or my taxes. We were talking about tax returns. Yes, absolutely. So we're talking about tax returns, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting screwed. Like I said X amount of dollars on my taxes. And it's fucking me on this paycheck. He's just like, wait, how much in taxes? I was like, oh yeah, and I said the amount. And he looked at me like kind of this like defeated look, like, how much are they fucking paying you? And quickly right there, I didn't want to make him feel bad because I'm that at my core, I'm that much of a nice guy. And I was like, oh no, that's because I contribute a lot to my 401k. That's what it was. And he's like, oh, okay. And so like I had to make up a lie to make him feel better because I didn't want to really make him feel like a lowly piece of shit, even though he kind of was. But
Are you sure? Because based on your words there, it sounds like you wanted to like shit on his face.
No, no. We were just talking about taxes and we were just trying to be like, oh yeah, the tax man's fucking us. And so I
It
was
is
trying
that
to be
time of year.
nice and converse with him. And then I had said the amount that I get taxed, and he kind of, I saw the hamster wheel moving in his head.
Yeah.
So, but hey, you know what? Long time. It's water under the bridge. And gosh, I actually feel kind of bad for him because supposedly he's just given up on fucking life. So hopefully mentally he's okay, and he lands back on his feet. But yeah, that is a happy story for the part-time Avenger, a feud at work.
Is it a happy story? It sounds sad. I feel like we need
Not
to
for
start
me.
a GoFundMe for this guy.
Hey man, I'm doing great. I'm happy. Family's doing good. And you know what? I got a chance to do a podcast with you, Mark. So life is good.
Only few are that lucky. Only few.
Exactly.
The happy few.
So going into the movie, what were your thoughts on the movie going in? Like, hey, are you using these reviews, the rankings, and is it already painted like a jaded picture in your head, or are you going in with an open mind?
I wanted to see just how bad it was, right? Everybody always shits on Jersey Girl, which I think is a hugely underrated movie and is actually really good. Cast, cameos, all that in Jersey Girl, top notch. Really a fan of that movie. And I'm like, well, is Copout that bad? Well, we'll see. I didn't look at the cast list. I didn't look at anything. I just knew Bruce and Terry, or yeah, Terry. His name's not
Tracy.
Bruce and Tracy were in it, and that's all I knew. Right? Did nothing else. I was completely devoid of anything. So I go and watch Tracy Morgan and Bruce Willis, and I'm like, I'll sit down and watch this, whatever. So I rent it on Apple, and I go sit down, and I hit play, and yeah.
Okay, so as you're watching it, is it like instant that you're just like kind of bummed?
No, the opening was pretty funny, right? Like, not so they're not a new team. They've been together for a while. They're doing their thing. Tracy Morgan is just quoting all these movies, and it's going really fast, and it's kind of confusing, but I like all the movie quotes. It doesn't make much sense, and it's kind of dumb. And then they go to do the thing at the cell phone store, and he's sign spinning and all that, and that works. Like, I'm like, okay, so it's basically Tracy Morgan goofing and Bruce Willis like playing along, but being John McClane. I get it. Okay.
So I want to talk really quick because you had said that like, oh, they've been together a while. From the trailers, didn't it seem like they just got paired up together?
Yeah, it did. I had no idea. I did not expect this to be a 9-year relationship.
Yeah. And so I was really tricked by the trailer. I was thinking like, I didn't know what the premise of the movie was. I hadn't read anything before. From what I remember from the trailer, I thought that I actually, for some reason, I thought this in my head that Tracy Morgan was like an actor and he was doing like a ride along with Bruce Willis.
There was a movie called Ride Along.
Yeah. Good movie.
But
Good
that
movie.
was with somebody else and it was quality.
Yeah. But for some reason, I thought in my head that this was just like they get paired up together. And, Bruce Willis is like, you know me, Captain, I always work alone. And like Tracy Morgan comes along as like,
but that's what he said to Kevin, not the actual movie.
Exactly. And yeah, so I thought that, oh man, this is a completely different movie as I'm watching it. Just like what you said at the beginning, I'm thinking this is pretty funny. And you know what? I buy the vibe off of those two and like the way that they're interacting with each other. I feel like, yeah, this is a legit buddy cop relationship where they like each other. They don't love each other, but they like each other and they tolerate their shenanigans and they they give each other shit. So I'm okay with it right at the beginning.
The part where you lost me was when they got suspended. Like, so unrealistic.
I was wondering, where's the movie going to go now? Because
I'm like,
now we're going
I'm
to get
like,
into the plot.
I'm like, there's a union for the NYPD, and there's no chance that they'd get suspended without pay as a main go for being around a crime. Like, not gonna. Not, the guy took a bicycle and got bit by a pit bull. Like, I'm like, don't think so. That's where you lost me. And then
So
I keep losing my badge, so they give me more. I'm like, no, that's not how that works.
so you're having a issue with the realism in this
Not even the
Hollywood movie.
realism, just like the throw-in lines. Like, I'm wondering if that was Kevin trying to find continuity or the writing trying to just add too much context. And I kind of spin towards the latter of Kevin saying, well, say this. Oh, let's try this. And him trying to make it more wordy. Because, Kevin is a verbose motherfucker.
He is. And yes, he loves his dialogue. And that is something that I thought that was somewhat missing, but I could tell, kind of letting them
Yeah,
do
I
their
was
little
immediately
improv.
like, oh, he didn't write this.
Yeah. So with how everything is going with Kevin Smith's normal, at least his idea of normal direction of a movie, yeah, you can almost feel that like there's something off, but I didn't think that it was the direction or even the editing. I thought it was the writing because I didn't know where the fuck this movie was going. So they get suspended. And I was thinking, like, oh, all right, well, some big crime is going to happen and they're going to get sucked right back in. But no, you know what happens? His daughter's getting married. And so he needs to come up with some money. And so what does he do? He goes to sell a baseball card and then the card gets stolen.
By Stifler.
Ah.
But wait,
and the other guy.
Wait, we gotta rewind. Yeah, other nameless, never to be seen again guy.
Yeah.
But we gotta rewind a little bit. Brody is smashing his old lady, right? For some reason, they decided Jason Lee has the gravitas to play against Bruce Willis.
You don't think he does?
He's basically the same guy from Clerks 3. He's the pickle fucker in this movie. He's like, but I have this money. He might as well be massaging his extra long mustache.
I like
No,
him.
I don't think that Jason Lee can. The guy's. Bruce Willis is old enough to be his dad.
Yeah, but you know what? There are relationships that can happen. And you know what? They were probably playing Bruce Willis as a 50-some-year-old man. Which he probably was at the time, I think. So it's believable.
I don't know.
I don't have a problem with that.
And Michelle Trachtenberg randomly is his daughter.
I was okay with that. I liked seeing like, hey, I know her.
I know her.
Oh,
you know what?
I know him.
Yeah, but the problem is they did that with a lot of the let's call them tertiary parts of the right. A lot of the non-main characters, but then they get to Po' Boy, and they get the guy from Pop Copy, right?
Yeah,
the random dude from the Chappelle Show. There's at least 5 actors that you could put. So many better people, but they get this random terrible actor who'd done nothing but like the Chappelle Show.
I think he was in Half Baked, wasn't he?
Yeah, no, he's done basically nothing.
Like, I mean, do you need a great actor as
you need
Po' Boy?
somebody? If you've got recognizable people everywhere, that guy's not recognizable.
I reckon you recognized him from Pop Copy.
I recognized him because I checked the IMDb and I'm like, that's where I know him from. Chappelle Show.
I had no problem with him either.
Oh man,
it's fine.
See, I'm like, come on. That's the guy where you need to get somebody that you might know. Get Oscar from fucking Fast and the Furious. Get somebody.
Oscar. Who the fuck was Oscar?
What was his name in Fast and the Furious?
You are batting 1,000 with names.
I'm doing bad. I'm doing
Wait,
not,
but no, seriously, Oscar. Who the fuck
um
are you talking about? Like Hector?
yeah, Hector.
Hector was a no name and hasn't been in anything besides Fast and Furious, and I think maybe SWAT with Colin Farrell and Samuel L. Jackson. If you're thinking of that guy, I don't know if you're thinking of that guy.
I am absolutely thinking of that guy. I'm just trying to look for his name.
My name is Hector Holmes. Got a last name, but can't pronounce it. Oh God, we got to do a Fast and the Furious review.
Oh yeah,
Such
no, absolutely, we'll get there.
Such gold.
We will absolutely get there.
But wait, for the record,
no, but that guy was at least in a few movies.
You want to replace
Training Day?
Yeah. So it's not like he had a big part.
Just saying.
I'm just saying, Guillermo Diaz has almost the same equivalent acting credits as Hector did.
No,
so
I'm in it. Guillermo Diaz did not do it for me.
Okay, that's fine.
There were,
but you can't replace him with Hector from Fast and Furious.
I can do whatever I want.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, so okay, you've got a problem with the cast, right?
Oh,
you've got a problem with the writing. I also have a problem with the writing. And I mean, I'm on the complete opposite side of this. I love the cast. I have no problems with the cast. I mean, you talk about Hunsaker and Mangold, played by Adam Brody and Kevin Pollak. I mean, Kevin Pollak is always a good bit character in a movie. I'm not a big fan of Adam Brody. Every time he comes on the screen, I'm just thinking, I hope he dies. But he always plays that goody two shoes, smart ass kind of guy. And yeah, it's necessary, but there was a lot of different dynamics going throughout this movie. So we have what we thought the plot was about the suspension, and then it becomes a fucking baseball card to get money for his daughter's wedding. And I don't know, did you ever look up, is that like a legit baseball card that is worth money, or did they completely make that up?
Not that I'm aware of. I honestly didn't even look it up. Who was the player?
I can't remember. I don't know. I've never heard of the fucking guy. But I thought that might be like a Kevin Smith thing to do, like, 20 years from now. Pavko, that's, yeah. It feels like that's a completely made up baseball card.
I know he played for the Cubs.
Did he? Okay. Huh.
I'm looking at an article. In 2007, there was a sale of a PSA 10 Pavko for $250,000.
Holy shit.
PSA 8 copies go for 95 to 100. So yeah.
My God.
Yeah, I guess.
I think I would have liked it better if it was like a fake baseball player, because it just sounded like a fake baseball player. But as I'm going through the subplots, which is the plot, that's where I was like, this is an issue. Like, I mean, who do you blame that on? Do you blame it on Kevin Smith? Do you blame it on the writers?
I blame it on the writers.
As a director, shouldn't you be able to kind of tighten that up a little bit?
He's not fucking. He's not Scorsese. He's Kevin Smith. He, up until that point, I don't think directed anything that he didn't write.
And I'm perfectly fine with blaming the writer on it, but I guess, then part of that is to blame on him, is that it's just not in his skill set. He had the ability to tighten it up, or at least he had the authority to tighten it up. He just didn't have the ability to, which is, I think, is fair to say.
My guess would be that he got to editing and he was missing a lot of shots, right, that he might have wanted. you know, and
But has he ever been like that cinematic director where it's like, I need this shot? It's more of just the dialogue. It's very,
yeah, no, you're right. It's been the dialogue. He's been carried by a great cinematographer for a very long time. You know, his cinematographer literally for every movie he did up until very recently is the same principal cinematographer on the fucking Mandalorian,
yeah.
which is so nuts to me that just people make it, man. Dave Klein is a rock star. I got that name right, by the way.
You love yourself some Dave Klein. You'd mentioned about
I do. I'm there's something about it that just speaks to me. There's certain editors that I just enjoy.
So let's go down these subplots. We talked about Ava's wedding. Sure, you got to come up with 50 grand. You don't want to let Jason Lee's character pay for the 50
But
grand.
the thing that doesn't make sense to me is I need to work this month to get this money.
Yeah, you're
Nobody
not
makes
making 50 grand.
$48,000 in a month.
Exactly. Yeah, it didn't make sense.
It didn't. Not at all.
But if you could neglect that, that's a big fact right there that just totally blows it out of the water. But if you could neglect that,
just that there are a million other ways that somebody could come up with 48 grand. Personal loans, mortgage,
sure.
all the things.
But if you could neglect that little
If you
fact,
could suspend reality,
yes. Would you buy that? I'm not letting this fucker pay for my daughter's wedding. Is that believable?
there is a certain level of dick measuring amongst men. And, you know, I mean, if somebody has taken your wife away, I guess, you know, you've got a little bit of having to one up there.
So yes, you would say that that's believable, right? So I agree. I totally needed to not think about the whole 48 grand. I got to work and pay this off. Like that's not going to happen. But what about the Roy and Jimmy rivalry? What did you think about that?
The whole thing just, it didn't, I know.
No.
A lot of things in this movie just didn't play for me, I guess.
Okay.
What
I
about
see.
you?
I bought it. So the whole wedding and then the rivalry, kind of. I get it. I understand. I'm in. I'm not nitpicking the movie at this particular point. But what about so Mangold and Hunsaker, Adam Brody and Kevin Pollak's characters? Did you think like just like every other cop movie that they were going to be somewhat involved in some master fucking corrupt police scheme?
No, I thought they were too dumb. This movie does not have layers.
Okay.
In case you could tell right away, not many layers to this film.
I thought that it was just going to go down that typical cop trope of a movie where it's like, oh, these guys, they're rivals and they're going to fucking screw them on this, even though they seem like complete morons. They're in cahoots with the bad guys, which I still thought till almost like the very end until I realized like, oh, they're going to work together to get shot at. But okay.
Said cahoots.
Uh, Debbie cheating on Paul. So a very young looking Rashida Jones uh, as Tracy Morgan's wife. What did you think about that subplot?
Well, this isn't, she was already in Parks and Rec at this point. I'm like, what are you doing in this movie? And why do you not have a bigger part?
I mean, Parks and Rec was just TV. This is a movie. So
Parks and Rec was a phenomenon, and this is barely a movie.
I don't know about phenomenon. I mean, I don't know about that.
Oh,
It's a good show. You can't say it's a phenomenon. I mean, it's a good
I've
show.
eaten Parks and Rec like themed food. I've eaten a meat tornado
Meat tornado.
multiple times. There was a brunch spot in the city that had a Ron Swanson menu. It was amazing. There is a Lagavulin, like casket brand that makes a Ron Swanson whiskey.
So it just reminds me the whole Ron Swanson and Aubrey Plaza clip in that show where they go to the grocery store and there's a guy serving vegan bacon.
Yeah.
And he just keeps on throwing it in the trash.
Another, please.
I just don't think that Rashida Jones is like, oh my God, we need to get her a bigger part. Like, nah, I don't know about that. I think you're off on that one. It's just because she was on Parks and Rec doesn't necessarily mean that she was like this Hollywood megastar.
She was also in I Love You, Man, which came out around the same time as this, actually the year before this. So she was already in a Judd Apatow flick.
I definitely didn't like that movie. I wasn't
That movie was way better than this one. Slap in the bass. Slap in the bass. That movie is it you got to watch it. And then it just grows on you.
I've got a story about that movie, but that'll be for another podcast.
I also have a story.
Well, all right. So back to my question though. So what did you think about that subplot?
So I thought that it for sure that she was banging the guy next door. Like
it seemed like it, right?
He checks the dryer, all that, the bottle of champagne, all that made sense. I'm just like, he finds the video and he puts the little bear there, all that stuff. I'm just like, wow, I thought they were going to stop it at like when Bruce Willis told them no and all that. And it was definitely,
but they kept it going.
They did. Like, the payoff was kind of funny, but it just was it? I don't know. They needed another reason to ADHD out Tracy Morgan, who apparently when he's focused has no self-awareness, which is a wonder that he's still alive as a cop and hasn't gotten shot. Like it just like I'm completely oblivious to everything.
Yeah.
Why would you stay partners with that guy for 9 years?
Exactly. And then you've got another subplot that I neglected to put on our little notes here, but the cat burglar whole thing, like where the fuck are all of these subplots going? And they don't really pay off.
Parkour.
It's all for just, a few shits and giggles in a few scenes. I will go on record and say though that I loved every scene that Sean William Scott was in. Every fucking scene was hilarious to me. And I'm not even a big Sean William Scott fan. Like, I think he was hilarious in a few of the American Pies. He's a good actor in other movies. And this one was just like, so funny, so good. And I couldn't get enough of it. I was laughing out loud, like really hard, especially when they took him away in the car and he's doing the whole repeat thing. Something about it
annoyed the living shit out of me.
Really? There's a lot of scenes that he annoys the shit out of me, like especially in like American Wedding. Like he just plays like this complete buffoon. I like this one. Say again.
The Stiffmeister.
Yeah. I liked him in this movie because of just how he was fucking with these guys and the jokes that he was telling. And it's like the shit that you would say with like your buddies, back in the day when you wanted to talk shit. And so you talk about like, oh yeah, like your wife or your girlfriend is probably getting double teamed right now. And so like, I love that he just kept on egging it on. I don't know. Just my sense of humor, I guess.
There was a scene in this movie that was completely unnecessary. And it was a scene with Sean William Scott when he's in the jail and he's fucking with that guy and he tells him he can knit sweaters. It did absolutely nothing for the plot or anything and should have just been cut. Like it was just why? Why did we need that? And
There's a lot of scenes that could have been cut. All those subplots could have been cut.
no, they had to make the movie to an hour and a half because it wasn't going to make it. It wasn't
Oh
going to make
man.
it. Not enough pages. But the parkour thing I thought was really funny, and then he just falls and dies,
Yeah. Yeah.
or
Or
knocks
doesn't.
himself out. Yeah, but
Doesn't
either
die.
way, like, yeah,
Did you so just to jump to the very end. So did you see the end credit scene?
yeah. Again, unnecessary and annoying.
Yeah. So that definitely could have been cut.
Yeah, no, I, I guess they wanted a happy ending for Stifler. Also, after this movie, I'm pretty sure is when his career just stopped. Like, he stopped being in anything. I gotta look, but I'm pretty
He's
sure.
been in a lot of movies, actually. It's just that it's not the highly publicized ones and Hollywood blockbusters. I don't know if he was just, blacklisted for a while just because of him being Stifler, but he's come out with some pretty good movies. I don't know if this is before or after, but The Promotion was a really good one with John C. Reilly. He plays more of like a serious character. It's a very dry sense of humor type of movie. It's worth checking out. Um, Goon, the hockey movie. He was very good in that. And there was a sequel that came out for that. I never watched it, but it was worth it. Like he can act. He can act his ass off, but he just does so well in those moronic buffoon type characters.
Yeah, no, Goon came out after this directly, and American Reunion, and then Movie 43, and then he did a lot of just not a lot of stuff.
He's kind of a recluse. He's very opposite of the Stifler character. He plays that character so well, and you never would guess that he's kind of just the opposite of that in real life. But The Promotion, check that out with him and John C. Reilly.
Yeah, I liked him in Road Trip and Dude,
Yeah.
Where's My Car. That movie
Oh,
underratedly funny.
I hate Dude, Where's My Car? I also hate Ashton Kutcher. Just
You've got it.
despise him.
I feel like you can revisit it and be okay. But yeah, no, I was I like him as an actor. I saw no reason for him to be in this movie at all.
Speaking of, oh, go ahead.
Why did they need to make there's so many other ways they could have made a connection to the guy.
Supposedly he was going to be up for one of the cop roles, but he said that he felt he was too young to be one of the cops. So that might have been, like, oh, we'll put him in another role.
So they dragged him behind a police car.
Yeah. I'm okay with it. I was fine. A little police brutality never hurt anyone.
I'm going to disagree.
Sarcasm is
You should clarify that. You should clarify that. Somebody could take that as a clip.
Exactly. I'll probably put the clip up there myself, so I'll beat you to it. Get it? Nope. Yep. Police brutality, beat you to it. I don't know. Whatever. But speaking of another reason for being pointless in this movie, the whole Gabriella character with like the crucifix and the USB flash drive crucifix, whatever,
Yeah.
the MacGuffin in this movie. Oh my God. How many fucking subplots and MacGuffins are in this movie that just doesn't even matter? And there's so much time that is spent between her, Bruce Willis's character, and Tracy Morgan's character. And it's a short movie, but there's so much time dedicated to that.
I don't know how they got this made. Like, whose dick did they have to suck to make this movie happen? Because the two writers literally have nothing to their writer credits. Like, before this, they wrote a TV movie, 4 episodes of the Las Vegas TV series, and
Oh, I
7
love that series.
episodes of Heist, which is not amazing.
I don't know, man. I don't know. But the writing is, I mean, I was assuming that the improv is what really tickled my fancy. Everything with Stifler and Tracy Morgan, and even some of the banter back and forth with Bruce Willis. I'm having a good time. I'm having a good time with the movie.
It was just too, I don't know. It was too just basic for me. It was too, it didn't have a tightness to it. It just you lost me. And Tracy Morgan is great in moderation, but when he's got to carry your whole movie, it's too much. It's too much.
I don't
My
even
cup
think
runneth
that
over.
you can't say that the movie was basic, because a basic movie will have a tight, simple storyline. This doesn't have a tight, simple story. It's like going all over the place. Um, Not to say that it's good because of that, but basic, definitely not the right word for this movie, in my opinion. It's so batshit crazy. It's almost like a Rocky Horror Picture Show where like none of this stuff really matters, but we're gonna put it all into a movie, and it'll be one big jumble fuck, but we'll try to aim to entertain. That's what
How,
it seems like to me.
how dare you insult the Rocky Horror Picture Show? How
Hey man,
dare you?
this movie is tighter than Nothing But Trouble. You can't disagree on that one, can you?
It's I just think of the dinner scene and I just with the hot dogs and I can't.
It's just,
I can't.
it's off the wall.
It is, but
This
Nothing
is
But
too.
Trouble was never meant to be good.
I don't know. I don't know if that's necessarily the truth.
You know what would have made this movie better? Dan
What?
Aykroyd as the police chief.
Oh God. No. No. God damn you, Dan Aykroyd, for making it to this episode again. Although I did bring up Nothing But Trouble, but
You
I was
did.
thinking more of like the Chevy Chase ridiculousness of Nothing But Trouble. But yeah, Dan Aykroyd, he was a staple. Ugh. But I need to just talk a little bit about Ana de la Reguera. She is in so many different movies, and I like her in so many different movies. There's
Is
just something
she?
about her. I like her innocence of that character. And it's just nice to kind of just see it, and her just stupid banter back and forth, or not even really banter back and forth, but singular type of conversation with herself, with Tracy Morgan, and even with Bruce Willis. I like those types of interactions, like what you were talking about with Bruce Willis and her in the car, which is a Kevin Smith touch, maybe. I like that type of stuff. You
Yeah.
could take out, like, this could be like Glengarry Glen Ross and just have it in 2 different scenes. The lunch scene with the family about the about the wedding, and then in the house with Po' Boy, and then that's it. Those 2 scenes, you could shoot every scene between those 2, because everything really took place between those things.
Don't sully Glengarry Glen Ross to this. She was also in Eastbound and Down.
Yes, yes, she was.
That's where I remember her from.
But yeah, man, I think the overall cast was a great cast, right? It's just a very scatterbrained movie.
But the cast was scatterbrained. Why was Fred Armisen in this? Why was Jim Norton in this? Like,
I didn't even realize it was Jim Norton.
neither did I. And if you bring him in, you got to let him do his thing. It's just, it makes no sense. It made, and that's some of the casting decisions. Made no sense. I looked at who the casting director was, and she's done amazing things like Veep and all. Like, she has credits upon credits. Everybody that's involved in this movie is so good that I have to blame the writers, as they just gave a dog shit script that Kevin said, a Bruce Willis movie? Hell yeah. Rob Cullen and Mark Cullen, maybe related to Edgar Cullen. All of them fucking suck.
Edgar Cullen. All the Twilight fans right now, they're just like, they're screaming right now at their phones and their computers.
All the Twilight fans stopped listening after the Twilight episode. Maybe before.
Oh man.
I wonder if these two sparkle.
Well, speaking of sparkle, Mark, there's a question I have to ask you. Can you do this movie all day?
I will never do this movie again. One and done, baby. One and done. I can't wait to forget that I watched this movie.
Even in the memory of Bruce Willis?
I'm gonna do that in honor of Bruce Willis. In honor of Bruce Willis. Deleted. But that brings me to a question before I forget this entire conversation and never listen to this episode. Like many other people out there. Dan, I have a question for you. Your love of the cast and the copping and the outing, does that mean you can do this all day?
You know what? Very rarely do we ever agree on something. And today's not going to be one of those days either, because I can do this all day. I had such a good time watching this. I was laughing out loud, and that really holds high in my rankings. If I can laugh out loud with a movie, whether it's just being stupid or I like the humor, that sticks with me. I love the cast. And you know what? The dynamic between Bruce Willis and Tracy Morgan, I was expecting this movie to be utter dog shit and unwatchable. I think this is going to be more watchable than a lot of the Bruce Willis Netflix movies that he's released like 20 movies in the last 2 years. So I think it'll be more enjoyable than that, just because I like the cast. And I'm not a big Bruce Willis fan. I liked Bruce Willis in this movie, and I liked the overall non-seriousness of it. Now, it's a mess. It is a jumbled up fucking mess. But yeah, I can do this all day. I will watch this again.
Well, you have fun, sir. You have fun, because
I will.
Never.
You like movies that make you feel good. Laughter makes me feel good. And Stifler is one of those main reasons why I like this movie. So
you could watch like 7 minutes of this movie and be fine.
It's, you know what? Sometimes 7 minutes will carry a movie.
Dude. Oh.
But I want to thank everyone and the one person that might still be listening to this over this movie, because no one ever watched this movie, and I don't think anyone will ever watch this movie again after this. But maybe I might convince the one person listening right now. But I want to thank all of the listeners, and of course, thank you, Mark, for reviewing this cinema masterpiece. Not really, but I don't know what I was going to say there. So
I don't think there's anything left to be said after cinema masterpiece.
I'm speechless.
Yeah, I'm speechless too that this ended this way. But you know what? You can't win them all. Kevin Smith knows it. Bruce Willis knows it. The company that put this movie out knows it, and you just missed it. It's okay. You were distracted.
Distracted by the laughter and the feel-good story. It's a family feel-good story too, by the way. He swallows his pride and lets Jason Lee pay for the wedding.
The only good part of the movie is Tracy Morgan threatening to shoot Jason Lee in the kidneys. That was the best part of the movie, and they saved it for the end.
Yeah. Well, thanks for tuning in, everyone. We will be back next week. But until then, I'm Dan, the part-time Avenger. That's Mark, the resident Jedi.
Please, 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 please like, subscribe, and comment about how Dan is just wrong. Please, somebody talk sense to this man about this movie. He won't listen to me. Please help me.
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention, Mark, but we'll see everyone next time.